we go. Episode 101. Mike
101.
Garafolo. Yeah, Mike Garafolo, NFL Network. Well, the 100.
You've had 100 episodes already?
Yeah, I just taped the 100th earlier this morning.
Isn't that a big thing when you got a sitcom, 100th episode? They give you a cake and all that stuff. It's like because it used to be that you needed 100 episodes to get into syndication. Now you need like 3. You know, these shows are like immediately they're hits and immediately they're in syndication. It's unbelievable.
I would love me be in syndication. You get more money with syndication, right?
Oh yeah, big time. Good Morning Football is going to syndication.
No.
Hmm?
All right, Mike Garafolo. Really? What episode?
2 hours on NFL Network.
Yeah.
We'll cut a promo here. 2 hours on NFL Network and then 2 on. I probably should remember that. Was it Roku?
I don't know, but you want to move your mic, not your mic, but all I'm seeing is your chin.
Oh, is this again with your
I'm just
weird framing?
I don't know. No, it's all I am seeing is just
because to me I see my whole body.
I don't know. Yeah. You look great now. I just see like you're
Hold on.
No, this is the best. This is the best. You're eating grapefruit. The camera's all over the place. This is what I love about this show. We're flying organic.
This is where it needs to be?
Yeah, that's okay. That's better. That's better.
To me, I got all this headroom. You can't see any of this?
No, I don't see any of it. Yeah, you're like high and tight. Grapefruit for breakfast, huh? My mom used to make me try to eat grapefruit.
Lunch.
Oh, that's lunch. Yeah, it is lunch, right? I forget it's 1 o'clock. So grapefruit for lunch, huh?
Grapefruit whenever, man. Grapefruit, okay. Midnight snack. Look at all this juice I got left over.
Are you a healthy eater?
No, not particularly, but for the most part. Look, see, everybody would have left that juice in the grapefruit. Look at that.
Okay. I mean, I do like a good Greyhound drink, so I do like grapefruit, but it's got to have alcohol in it.
Nope, not at 1 o'clock in the afternoon.
Well, first of all, don't tell me that you've never had alcohol at 1 o'clock in the afternoon.
Not on a Thursday while I'm working here, no.
Well, I mean, a Thursday isn't. I mean, you went to college, right?
Yeah.
It was kind of like
ready to go.
It was kind of like every day. All right, episode 101 with the great Mike Garafolo, who was working his ass off yesterday on the NFL Network. And he joins us out on Thursdays here at pucksports.com. It's brought to you by Hartley and Hartley Insurance, which is family-owned, second-generation independent insurance agency that's been serving the Puget Sound area since 1978. They promise honesty, fairness, and integrity. Contact Jamie Hartley when he's not playing golf at 253-565-8700. And Zogs on Fox Island, great place to grab a cold beer, watch the game, watch the NFL schedule release party, Monday through Thursday, 3 to 10, Friday through Saturday, 12 to 10, their new hours, Sunday, 12 to 9. Visit Zogs on Fox Island on Facebook, Instagram for more information. Yeah, you were nonstop. You were I was watching you on TV. I was on Twitter. You're on Spaces. What else were you on yesterday? You guys were all over the place.
I was on the golf course too. I did that early in the day. Ian and I went out because we knew the schedule release. See, it takes the pressure off of us because we can't report anything ahead of the schedule release. So every beat writer and national guy who's not affiliated with the NFL or a broadcast partner is scrambling to get the schedule and put it out and put as many nuggets out there as possible. Pressure's off us. We can't, even if I wanted to, I couldn't put it out there. So we were playing golf during the day because we knew we were going to be working at night.
Okay, so you guys already know what's going on. The rest of us are scrambling to find out all the leaks. And you know what is so funny about this? And this is why the NFL is it's amazing what it's become. I mean, it's always been popular. I mean, when we were kids, it was always huge. I mean, maybe back in the day, maybe baseball was always maybe the bigger sport. I know for me, I'm 48. Basketball was kind of always king when I was a kid growing up, just in terms of at least that's what it felt like. And then the NFL has been just a monster for years. When you started covering the NFL, working in it, could you imagine that we'd be this day where days like yesterday, Mike, are like national holidays? I mean, we already know who they're playing. We just need to know the dates, but my God, people eat this stuff up.
Well, the NFL's done a good job of, first of all, making the rules of the game to lend itself to scoring and star power and making the game faster, making the game better. I mean, some of the stuff they've done with just eliminating commercials after kickoffs, which even Roger Goodell said drove him crazy. Like, they've just done a lot of smart things. They've done a lot of things that I would sit here and say, well, do we really need that? Right? Do we really need the Eagles to play their opener in Brazil? Did we need a London game in the first place? Now we've got 4 international games, and they're huge. And the part of the Netflix deal was to reach more of an international audience than the traditional broadcast partners. So, you question it when it first happens, a lot of these things, and it turns out in the end a lot of these things are smart moves. Now, I would also say from a revenue sharing standpoint, that was one of the big things that the NFL has done over the last 30, 40 years, whatever it is, to keep the competitive balance. Like, I don't know why baseball doesn't do that. It drives me nuts that some of these teams are feeder systems, farm systems for the bigger teams, and then they're constantly trying to, sell off parts and It's like, are you watching what the NFL is doing at all? Are you paying attention at all?
You're right.
So, what they've done to make the sport popular and to make the sport in some ways more exciting, but also in some ways safer too as well, because that's been a big thing that they've had to do. It's all part of the evolution of what I've seen. I've been covering the league for 2002 is my first year, so 22, 23 years going on. And I would say that they've done a great job to make days like the schedule release day extremely popular because people are building their entire years around this stuff.
Well, they do. I mean, they build their whole falls around it. Like a lot of these, I mean, NFL fans, they go and travel, so they want to know which game they're going to go to. How can they line it up with? I don't know if it's like.
Which brings me back, and I thought about this again yesterday, which brings me back to the Thursday flex and the Monday flex, right? Because it's like, tune in May so you can plan your entire fall. And, by the way, a couple of those things they might move today, so you really can't plan yet. Like, you sort of can, but don't get locked into a rate you can't get refunded on. And, I know as a league employee, I'm not supposed to take too much criticism toward the NFL, but even John Mara has been on my side on this one, so that was my go-ahead to kind of second guess it as well.
I don't know if it's like this on the East Coast. Probably not, because East Coast is probably not all that. Well, certain parts of it, not all that into college football, but like on the West Coast, maybe like the Midwest, like a lot of people plan, to double dip, right? They're going to go watch the NFL team, like the Seahawks go play in Arizona. So like Husky fans out here or Cougar fans will see, are we playing Arizona State? Are we playing University of Arizona? So we can double dip and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's huge. I mean, people and NFL fans are crazy. Sometimes I don't understand where NFL fans have all the money. Like, where do they come up with all this money to go travel to some of these games and spend the money that they do? And then take work off Monday, Tuesday, Friday. Like, what the hell do they do?
I was watching License Plate Guy. Do you know who that is? The Giants super fan?
Oh, yeah.
He wears all the license plates to the games. I forget why he started with the license plates, but now he's got, Giants themed plates from all over the world. People send them to him. He gets them made and all this stuff. He's got custom made jerseys that he makes as well. His name's Joe Rubach. He does a lot of community work too, as well. As a matter of fact, he's got a softball game this weekend. Dexter Lawrence, he used to do it with Landon Collins, but now he does it with Dexter Lawrence, I believe. And they'll raise a bunch of money for charity. And he's like he's a teacher. I think he's a phys ed teacher. And, he's got a lot of business interests and stuff that he does. And it's like, he has to sit front row for every single game. So I'm watching him tweet yesterday, and he had the schedule well before the schedule release. I'm like, he has to, because he's got to book his airfare and hotels. He goes to every single game. He sits front row for every single game. Like the Germany game, for him to wait until the schedule is released and book it probably would cost him several thousands of dollars, right?
So like the Giants give that to him then, I assume?
Give him what? The schedule?
Yeah.
No, I think he's got relationships with players and team types. I mean, I'm sure he gets it through them. No, it's not the Giants don't endorse what he does at all. Like, it's not I don't want to say it's not a cozy relationship. It's not like a team endorsed type thing. Like, he's completely on his own. And a lot of these folks are too as well. I mean, that was the case. Sean Young was the guy who used to wear the shoulder pads at the Eagles games.
Yeah.
And he actually gave it up. And now there's a new guy that has the face paint and the shoulder pads. I don't know that guy's name, but I've known Sean for years. And it was like the money and the passion and the time that goes into it. And yeah, it starts this time of year for these guys.
When I was growing up as a kid, I don't know if he's still around. He might be passed away, but remember the guy that was at Mile High and he'd wear the
he did pass away. The barrel, yeah.
Barrel with no shirt on. God, I love that guy. He was the best, man.
Dude, one time, was it my columnist Steve Politi? I was covering a Giants Cowboys game, and I believe, remember the guy used to wear the headdress for Washington,
Yeah.
And then they had the Cowboy, and those two guys were like rivals, and they would show them all the time on the broadcast. Yeah. And they were doing this whole thing because I think the Washington guy had passed away. And so the Cowboys were doing this big thing. They brought the family to the game, which they weren't playing Washington, if I'm remembering this correctly. It had to be a Giants game because I was at the Star-Ledger at the time. And whoever it was, it may have been Politi or whatever, he's like, what's going on? I said, well, this guy was a super fan. And, like, you know, he was dressed as the Redskins guy. And the Cowboys guy, he had the guns. And, like, they would chase each other around the goalposts, like, playfully. And whoever it was not a big football guy. Turns to me and goes, what a stupid sport. I was like, that's awesome. What are you talking about? That's amazing.
Yeah, we had a great one out here. You ever heard of Mama Blue?
No.
Oh, she was and she passed away. She was old. She had been a season ticket holder from the beginning, would dress up all the time. She sat in the end zone, was there for every single game, and like bedazzled and like makeup and pom-poms. She was great. The players loved her. The coaches loved her. Yeah, it's phenomenal. It's just a huge day. I mean, there is no downtime anymore ever in this sport. And it's truly remarkable. I mean, how much people tune in and care about this stuff. And we go through it and say, oh, well, you like that stretch of games. You like this stretch of games. Oh, that's going to be a landmine there. And then everything that we did something yesterday. And it's like everything that I know I talked about yesterday, none of it's going to come to fruition.
That's all right. That's part. We had Mike Robb up on the screen yesterday with MJD going through. They did a few of them, but the one that I saw, I think, was San Francisco's, and they had him at 13-4, and they were like, "Oh, win, loss," and you know as you're going through it, you're like, "All right, they're playing the Chiefs. That's going to be because you got to find losses, right?" And there's there's going to be an upset somewhere, but if you call it now and say, oh, the Niners are going to lose at home to the Cardinals, people will be like, are you crazy? Are you out of your mind? But it's quite conceivable. They could lose at home to the Cardinals. We've seen how this happens. So, yeah, everything we do now is kind of but I will say this. I mean, you're right about the stretches. To me, and I always do it by expected wins. Our friend Cynthia Freeland's got her expected wins, and so I kind of go by that. And you'll weight the schedule based on sometimes like, oh, here's the strength of the schedule based on last year's records. I don't care about last year's records. Give me the expected, projected wins, whatever you want to call them for teams. And so a lot of times you'll see, like this team's, like the Falcons, Chargers or Falcons, one of them has the easiest schedule this year based on expected wins. The AFC North, which team? I think the Bengals have one of the easier ones, but the Ravens, the Steelers and the Browns have like tough schedules based on, again, expected wins. So then you look at it, you say, oh, if they get them in clusters, and I go back to last year, the Eagles had, and you saw it on paper, the first half of the season, it was like, they've got to fatten up their record there, because then it gets brutal. And then what happened was, they actually started to win some of those games in the brutal stretch, and we were like, wow, they're just going to plow through. And then eventually they wound up losing even the games that we would have chalked up as wins early in the season, but that tough stretch seemed like it did catch up to them. So that's the kind of stuff that I look for now. You can't go like week to week because you know that's going to be wrong. But if you look at like, here are clusters, here was where they can fatten up. Hey, the bye week's in a perfect spot for them. That kind of stuff is what I look for.
God, I'm looking and I'm just wait, hold on. I must be looking at am I looking at AFC? Oh, there we go. I was looking at AFC. I was like, God, I don't see the Seahawks from Cynthia. But now I realized I was looking just at the AFC and not the NFC. I'm like, God, Jesus, they don't have 5 wins. So in the NFC, she's got the Niners with the expected wins, 11.2. That's the highest one, followed by the Eagles and then the Lions. And then she's got Atlanta. Atlanta, 9.9. Is that a surprise to you? Why are the numbers, analytics, and her so bullish on the Atlanta Falcons?
Because now listen, a lot of times you say, oh, first-year coach, but there's always that one first-year coach that comes into the right situation, whether the schedule lines up, you've already got talent on the team. Sometimes you just get hot and they feel good about their new coach, and they get Todd Bowles in his first year with the Jets went 10-6, if I'm recalling correctly, and then it kind of tailed off after that. So that to me is the Falcons, because of the talent and because of the fact that there's still holes in the roster, which is why people were so freaking out about Michael Penix being drafted number 8 overall when they had so many needs there. But they've got a team that's got enough talent. You could see them winning games. And it's the division, right? Like, the rest of the division is not very, Carolina's going to be struggling again this year. Tampa Bay won the division, but it's not a team that you go, oh, wow, they really blow you away with everything they've got going on there. And then New Orleans, which they've got some issues that I don't know that they've been able to patch up there. And New Orleans has always been a weird team. Not always been a weird. Last couple of years been a weird team to me, because every time you think they're going to kind of get hot and run away with the division and a playoff berth, they kind of throw some games away, and then all of a sudden they'll pop up and win one that you don't expect them to win. So, right. I think the schedule lines up nicely for them. And provided Kirk Cousins is not freaked out by the presence of Michael Penix, certainly having a reliable quarterback is. Raheem Morris at the Combine was talking to the media and says, I'm not here right now if we got, and we was the previous regime, if we got more consistent quarterback play last year. So that's kind of how they feel.
Well, and I liked what Cousins said on that podcast the other day, and some would say, well, that's what he's supposed to say. Okay, well, some guys don't do that. Some people in that industry or in any industry, when someone is hired that does the same job as you, that's younger and cheaper, you start looking over your shoulder. That's just the way it is. You get nervous about it. You probably get angry and disappointed. And I think there's no doubt that he's angry and disappointed. But Mike, I like the way he answered all of it. And I think we talked about this before. There's no way that he's going to sulk and treat Michael Penix bad and not try to help him out. And, he said as such, on that podcast that, hey, man, my job is to be a good teammate and and make sure that we're all in the right direction. It doesn't do us any good if I'm over there pouting and sulking because they drafted Michael Penix.
Yeah, I don't think you watch that and we're like, oh, okay, Kirk's not pissed, right? He's totally cool with it. Like, he's still pissed. He's still pissed. Yeah. But the way that he answered, and I think it was smart to tie it back to some of his previous experiences. We had talked about the fact that he's been in uncomfortable situations before, and it hasn't been much more uncomfortable than everything he experienced in Washington. And then I actually forgot he referenced back to Michigan State and Nick Foles being recruited as well there, and saying, well, I got to beat him out. I got to beat out at people in Washington because he was drafted in the same draft as RG3. So that was a good way of relaying it back. But you get the sense that, yeah, he's still pissed. But in the end, the Falcons are sitting there thinking, well, it doesn't behoove him to play poorly. He has to go out and play well anyway. So, if he doesn't play well, then that's proof that we signed the wrong quarterback. And good thing we started working on the contingency plan anyway. So there's a lot of ways to look at this. I just, he's 35 going on 36. He'll be 37 when the guaranteed money runs out. 37 going on 38 if I've got this correct. Regardless, he'll be in his late 30s. I almost feel like it'll be a Matt Ryan type of, coincidentally enough, the Falcons, a Matt Ryan type of situation where the guy's got 1, maybe 2 years left. A team has a pressing need at quarterback. They could trade for Kirk Cousins and say, hey, this is a ready-made team where he could take us to the postseason and potentially deep into the postseason. I feel like that's the situation we're going to wind up seeing in the next couple of years for Kirk Cousins.
All right, the expected win totals from Cynthia, the NFL.com, has got the Seahawks at 8.8 there. Now, Vegas has got their over-under wins at 7.5 to make the playoffs at plus.
There you go. Trust Cynthia.
Yeah, I'm going to trust Cynthia. I think I'm real bullish on these guys. I think 9 wins, and shoot, I did the thing the other day, and I had 11-6, and what she writes, and I'm glad, because she's running the numbers for this, and she writes, hey, I think the Seahawks are being a bit undervalued, both generally speaking and with my own model. As far as the schedule goes, they open up this season with a pair of winnable games. This is the part I think we all agree with. They're going to get 2 rookie quarterbacks in the first 2 weeks of the season. For a defensive-minded coach, he's licking his chops. They play 4 rookie quarterbacks in total because they get Caleb Williams and J.J. McCarthy at the end of the year. And hell, Mike, they may get a 5th if something happens to Kirk Cousins. And and Penix starts week 7. Highly unlikely, but again, just a possibility. But she says, and she looks at every team's hardest 4-game stretch. And according to her calculations, the Seahawks rank 26. They have the 7th easiest quartet. And I agree. I look at the schedule and there's not a stretch of games where you're like, oh my God, that is murderer's row. They had it last year, but not this year.
And I talked about that first year bounce with the Falcons. There's nothing that says it can't be the Seahawks with Mike Macdonald and his youthful energy that he is going to bring. And when you're with one coach for an extended period of time, and they were still successful at the end of the Pete Carroll era. I don't make it seem like it was a disaster and falling apart the way it was for Andy Reid in Philly years ago. But now you get a different perspective and a fresh voice, and it's like, okay, you start to build that confidence early on. If you have those winnable games and you start to win them, all of a sudden you kind of, I said this before, it was the Eagles one year, you play yourself into your record, right? Like, you start winning enough games where you're like, well, that's how good we are. It's the Parcells, you are what your record says you are, and you almost kind of, it's not false confidence, but it's added confidence that you can kind of come up with. So if they can start stacking those kinds of wins, obviously it's going to have to be within the division where they're going to have to pick up some wins, and I expect Arizona to be better. San Francisco is going to be good. I expect the Rams to be better. So that's the only part of me where I go, how many of those wins can they pick up and tack on? I mean, they're going to be, these other teams certainly look at them saying they're not going to be a cakewalk. So, it's going to be an interesting division.
Yeah, I mean, there is a stretch of game. I mean, they do have these stretch of games in which you got to be concerned about. But again, I just love the way that they start off to get 2 rookie quarterbacks. When you're introducing a new defense, you come back and then you get Miami. Miami will be, a formidable opponent. Some reason they always play in Detroit every single year, but they get Detroit there on Monday Night Football. But I don't know. It's a favorable schedule. I think the only thing that you look at for them would be, and it's not like all the opponents are difficult, but I mean, 4 of their last 6 games are on the road. So if they, it's always harder to play on the road than it is at home. That would be kind of the one area that you would look at. But I mean, shoot, you go 9-8. And she projects 8.8 wins. So that's, right around 9. That's 9-8. That's a hell of a first season for Mike Macdonald.
Yeah, that would be fantastic for him. And it still puts you in that, I keep saying this, like you're still in that no man's land of, you still need a long-term solution at quarterback at some point, right? And you're not bad enough to put yourself in the position to wind up starting to draft these guys. And it's like, okay, Seahawks kind of where they were last year at 9-8, you'd say it was a successful season. You would feel good about it, and you'd feel good about your new coach. And it's like, okay, when is the long-term, we've got a franchise quarterback, and we don't have to think about the position for 10 to 15 years? I don't know.
Yeah. Now everybody out here, bitched and moaned that they've got 2 Thursday night games. There are multiple teams that have 2 Thursday night games. Help me understand this. And now I did this really quick. So if I missed this, you're like, no, you're not right, you're wrong, which is normally the case. Please correct me. But I did notice that there are several teams. The Seahawks are 1. I think the Packers, the Cowboys, the Giants.
The Jets are 2 Thursday games. Is that where you're going?
Yeah, 2 Thursday games. But then there are teams that have 0.
Yeah.
That doesn't seem fair.
Well, they did that a couple of years ago. They did away with it because when they first started on Thursday, matter of fact, I think last year was the first year because I remember we've been covering the Thursday night games, Steve Smith and I, for 2 years now. I think the first year everybody had a game, and then last year we were in Pittsburgh twice within a pretty good, pretty tight vicinity. It was like November and then early December, if I'm not mistaken, or maybe October, November. So yeah, they did that last year and said, screw the competitive balance, right? Like we want the best product because Amazon wound up getting some stinkers early on that first year. And so they wanted to improve the product for Amazon, and that's the way they decided to do it and said, sorry about your luck. But if I'm not mistaken, the Steelers played the Patriots the second time. Was it the Titans the first time? And I feel like the Titans had 2 Thursday games. It was something where whoever they played had 2 Thursday games as well. It doesn't necessarily even out. I'll tell you the game I like, and this year it's Detroit. Detroit is playing Green Bay?
I'll pull it up for you, fella. Give me
It's the
one.
week after Thanksgiving. I love that. And last year was Seattle. It was the Seahawks
They're
and the
playing
Cowboys.
Green Bay on December 5th.
Yeah.
Thursday.
So that's the game where it's a Thursday game with two teams that had a full week of rest. So they do a good job of planning that one because they take two of the Thanksgiving teams and put them on the following Thursday.
But I guess I think for where people are upset out here is that Seattle. I just want to double check. I'm right on it. They are going to play 2 Thursday games where they are on 4 days rest.
Yeah.
So I mean, I don't know. Yeah. We talk all the time about player safety and all this stuff, and it's like I don't know. It's some teams are getting kind of hosed on all that.
Well, they'll tell you that the injury rate in the Thursday games. See, this is where they and the NFLPA differ on this. They'll tell you the injury rate is the same for Thursday games as it is for Sunday games. The NFLPA will tell you that's not the case, and also how many guys are not playing on Thursdays because they got hurt on Sunday where they would have played the following Sunday. You can spin the numbers any way you want. They made this Thursday Night Football product for what it is, and they're trying to make the best of it. So.
Hey, can you do the 12-year-old Jason a favor and get a note out to a couple of teams? I know you're friendly with Seattle. Okay, you got to be friendly with the Broncos. Can you get a message to both, please? That first game must feature the throwback uniforms for both.
That'd be fantastic. I would love it.
It's an old AFC West rivalry, and they both have it. They've got to bring it back for that game on September 8th. So whoever you got to talk to, please pass along that information for us, okay?
Well, I'll just retweet this clip right here. I'll just repost the clip because that's what you do on X. You don't tweet.
That's right. You got to repost on.
What's up, Elon?
Yeah. What do you want to sponsor the show? I'm sure you got enough money to do so. Hey, by the way, I just saw ours for the first time. Some douchebag in our neighborhood's got one. Have you seen his truck? Does anyone around you have that truck?
You see it every now and then, just kind of driving in the streets, and it's kind of ridiculous.
It's a tank. What the hell is the point of it?
I don't know. Is it energy efficient? Is it aerodynamic? I have no idea. I haven't done the legwork on it. You know, we're past. This is the last tentpole event for the NFL offseason up till training camp. I love that word, tentpole. They love to throw it around. They've got tentpole events everywhere. So maybe I'll have the time now to dig in.
Is there a team? I'm curious. Is there a team when you look at what Cynthia did in terms of her win production? So for like the NFC, you know, Carolina's got the least expected wins at 5, the Giants at 5.4, Cardinals at 6.7, Commanders at 7.2, Vikings at 7.2, Saints 7.4. First with the NFC, is there a team in there when you look and go, I don't know. I think they're going to be better than those expectations and those calculations.
Yeah, I haven't. We had this conversation on the golf course yesterday. I'm like, I haven't come up with my team yet, and my team last year was the Green Bay Packers, and I'll tell you that because I hit on it. Because last year, or the year before, or whoever it was, I think maybe I picked the Giants the year before that, or no, because the Giants were better. They made the playoffs. Wouldn't have been the Giants. Whoever it was, I fumbled it. But last year I picked the Packers, and they got off to a bad start. I was like, I did it again, screwed it up, backed the wrong horse. Oh, I know who it was the year before. God, it was brutal. I think I had the Texans. I think I even said it on your show. Said back the Texans to win more, and they were the first or second pick in the draft, so they did terribly. But last year, last year was Green Bay, and when they started out, I was like, oh God, I screwed the pooch again, and turned out in the end they made the playoffs and won a game. So go Pack, go!
Everyone's high on the Texans. If you look at that, I mean, she's got them at 10.3 expected wins there.
I feel like that doesn't count, right? You need the like team that people have around 6 and 7 wins, and you say, no, that team's going to make the postseason. So let me do a little digging on that. Maybe it'll be the Seahawks. Maybe
could be. I mean, that could be a surprise team. What about in the when you look at the AFC? And I think let's see the least amount of wins. Of course, it's always Jacksonville. Colts. That's not the Colts. Hold on. Patriots at 5.3. Broncos at 5.7. Hey, good thing they spent all that money on Sean Payton.
Dude, I don't know if, because a lot of times in the second go-round, you can't recapture that magic as a head coach. So I'm waiting to see if that's what's happening there or if Sean Payton just needs a little time to get things going and figure out who are his guys. I mean, last year was an evaluation year in a lot of ways, especially because he was saddled with a quarterback that he clearly didn't want. And so I think it was weeding out the guys that are not his guys and starting to bring in guys. So you got to give him, a year or two to kind of get his feet underneath him, I think, still.
Okay. Patriots, and we kind of know what they're about. But any other surprises? Raiders 6.4, Colts about 7.9. Jim Harbaugh in his first year at 8.
Oh, there you go. That's my team. There you go. The Chargers. That's
Chargers?
My team. That's my AFC team. Because again, their schedule by expected wins is one of the easiest in the NFL. Jim Harbaugh just flat out wins wherever he goes. They've got themselves a quarterback. It's not the perfect roster, but I see the Chargers as the team that's jumping up and potentially making the postseason in the first year.
Have you kicked around the idea yet of going to the trailer park to go follow them? Have you pitched that idea to them?
No, not yet. I'll work on that one there.
I feel like I'm giving you like a really great idea, and if you don't do it, then I'm going to do it. But come on,
you got to give me the budget to do it too. Like we're
$1 billion company over there. Come on. Nothing. No. You don't want to do it. Oh, come on. Just do it. I can literally
Of course I want to do. I want to work. I want to do great things.
You're just like, move on, please. Move on. I can't wait to watch him. He's such a character, and the fact that he's living in a trailer park is just so perfect. Hey, Russell, 8.7 wins. How do the old Russell's going to do with the old Steelers?
That's Cynthia's projection?
Yeah, 8.7.
That is a lot of
not a fan.
That is a major commitment to two cast-off quarterbacks. Major commitment.
It really is. It really, yeah.
Mike Tomlin's got that streak of undefeated seasons, right?
Yeah.
Could be it.
Could be it for him, you think?
No. I mean, it could be it for the streak.
Oh, yeah.
Could be it. We'll see.
You surprised by the Jared Goff deal?
No, that's right in line. And I know that they were looking for listen, he got a great deal the first time around. I mean, it by time and cap expansion, it was dwarfed by some of these other deals that happened. But at the time, it was a really good deal for Jared Goff in the low 30s. Now he's in the 50s. He's made a lot of good, well-earned money over his career. I give him all the credit because I counted him as a throw-in and a placeholder, and he was anything but that. So go back to what the Eagles did when they were stockpiling draft picks, and it's like, well, we've got Jalen Hurts, but we've got all these draft picks. If your quarterback hits you don't have to use those picks. You can fill in around them. That really helps your roster.
You know what? It's when big trades happen in any sport, you always look back and go, well, who won that trade, right? Who was the winner? Who was the loser? Yeah. Not a lot of times, Mike, you get a trade in which you look at it and go, you know what? Because really what a trade should be, it should benefit both teams.
Yeah.
Obviously, there shouldn't be a winner or a loser. It should that's who we wanted, and this is who the other team wanted. And that's a trade that you look at and go, you know what? Both teams got probably exactly what they needed and wanted and deserved out of it. And you would say it's just kind of an even Steven. I mean, I know the Rams, they got the Super Bowl, but Jared Goff's been great with Detroit. Detroit needed a leader, needed a quarterback, needed somebody to kind of push Dan Campbell's message, and they have that in Jared Goff.
Yeah, that was the ultimate tie, draw, even trade of all time, and it was perfect. His time was up with the Rams. He needed to go. Sean McVay needed a fresh start with another quarterback. It worked out perfectly. I agree with you.
Yeah. Okay, I got to do the weekly Jamal Adams update. Is there anything?
Not that I've been made aware of, no.
No more smoke on Jamal Adams?
I mean, at this point, I don't expect him to sign until – he could be one of those guys that signs like the week before training camp, or if not, then you wait in the camp and see if there's an injury or something like that.
Okay. But, all right. No more his name's not buzzing out there in the NFL world, NFL circles.
Hasn't come up, no.
Okay. Hey, what is normally we like to have fun here, but I guess this is kind of serious. You think the NFL is going to step in here with the Chiefs kicker, or is it the punter? Is it the punter?
No, the kicker. No.
You're not going to do anything?
What are they going to do? I mean, it's an opinion. It's they only. It's people got to be able to speak their mind. I don't agree with it. A lot of people don't agree with it, but. It's not.
I only bring it up because, as you know, this league, they like all leagues. I mean, they put a real emphasis, right, on trying to communicate to women and moms to get them involved.
They're not happy about it, but
Yeah.
what are they going to do? They're going to suspend them?
No, I don't know really what I was asking. I'm just curious if they do anything with it, and maybe
they leave it up to the likes of me to smack this moronic idea of putting women in the kitchen back down, and I'll do it this way by saying I'm pretty sure Harrison Butker had some comments about Taylor Swift, and I went and looked them up, and he's like, she was amazing. I was nervous to meet her. I can't say enough great things about her. And I was like, okay, you do understand she is the opposite. She stands for the opposite of everything that you believe in. Not the least of which is that she should have stayed in the kitchen. You understand that, right? Like, you would not have been nervous to meet the average housewife. You would not have been nervous to meet someone who basically gave up their career. How about that? He stands up there. And tells the women, I'm sure you're thinking about all the promotions and career advancements that you're going to, but,
oh God,
nothing's going to fulfill you more than marriage and family. Which, by the way, that great thought, like, to everyone. Like, I know you're thinking about your career and all this stuff, listen, the stuff that being a parent and being a great spouse, it's a great message to everybody. But then you start to like homemaker, and it didn't come off. Maybe it did come off exactly how he wanted it to. And maybe he thought, well, I know my audience that I'm speaking to, and it's not going to go any further. He was wrong. Yeah. So I just, just think about what you're saying. If you're so excited about Taylor Swift and you're so excited about meeting her, think about why you're so excited to meet her, and don't limit. I've said enough.
Okay. All right. What's the next big date here in the NFL? I feel like now we've kind of reached it. It's like it's the draft, right? It's the combine. It's the draft. It's now the schedule release. Now what's the next one?
It's training camp. I mean, we've got mini camps coming up here, and there'll be a little bit of a news cycle, but it's training camp and kicking that thing off, and all the coverage we'll have on NFL Network to let you know that football is back. And it'll be great feeling. It's a long off season.
Yeah.
Sometimes I say it feels short, but it's a long off season once you get to this point. And training camp is long. Like, you get into training camp, you're like, God, I just want to get to week 1.
Are they getting closer? Do you think they're getting closer to nixing all preseason games?
No, they'll nix the 3rd game and make that a regular season game, and we'll have 18. So, like, when you say things like,
soon?
Hey, I did the Seahawks schedule, and I came up with 11-6, and I think, boy, that's an odd number of games.
How soon?
12-6 is going to be any better, but I thought 16 was perfect. But it is what it is. How soon? I don't know. I mean, the NFLPA has to be on board with that, so they got them to be on board with it last time, saying like, hey, it's more revenue for everybody, which again is the case. But now you're up to 18 games. Load management comes into play, all that stuff that people are talking about.
NBA load management.
Should you have a mandatory, every player on the roster has to can play only a maximum of 16 games? I don't know. These are conversations that they're going to have, and does that make it better? Maybe if you did that. You see, this isn't great either. I was going to say, if you did that, I would say you'd probably have to limit the load management to like the early part of the season, but that's no better. How does that make it better? Stupid. I don't know.
Glass half full or half empty? Where do you sit with the Phillies?
Why would it not be full?
I don't know, because you East Coast people, you just, even though it's going great, you're probably bitch and moan about something on the team, so I'm just curious.
I don't think you've spent enough time out here. I think
you're right
about it. When things are going well and they're mashing the ball, you just ride with it, and they're beating the Mets. What's better than that? What's better than that? Especially when you live where I live. The other day, somebody came into the gym and was like, oh, what a great time for New York sports. I'm like, yeah, awesome. Really love it. Like Rangers, Knicks, awesome. Yeah, which I don't even care about the Knicks. I don't care about the NBA. But watching the Rangers win, like when Carolina beat them the other night, that was awesome. That was great. Everybody thought that was just going to be a ceremonial wrap up the series night, and it wound up not being. Give me more of that, Roddy Brindamore.
Yeah. You like it. That's for a Philadelphia sports fan, New York's the biggest rival.
Did we ever talk about Hakstol being dismissed? I don't think we did here, you and I.
No, but did you send me a text about did
I may have.
fans hate him? Did the players hate him? Because the story out here, even though it was shot down, but I think it was a huge PR spin machine by the team because Emily Kaplan's a pretty damn good reporter for ESPN, and she's been covering hockey for a long time. And she said that, hey, I heard several players went into that meeting with him and said, we don't want to play for him anymore.
Yeah.
Like, done. And so was that like how it ended in Philly with him?
I see. I can't remember past the players saying they can't stand Tortorella right now. Like I just
I love it.
Are you kidding me? They're probably clamoring. Bring Hakstol back. Come on, man. But no, it was a little bit. There was a little bit of something there at the end there, and I don't know if it ever really got fully clarified. So.
Well, another one of my Philly buddies said that that was the same deal, that the players just didn't like playing for him.
It was. But again, you know exactly with Tortorella what's happening, right? He's benching the captain and everybody hates him for that. With Hakstol, it was more of like a gray area type thing, if I'm remembering correctly.
Yeah, he never gives you anything. He doesn't talk. But
yeah,
I met him once. He seemed like a nice guy. So, all right, you're the best. We'll cut you loose. Mike Garafolo every Thursday, brought to you by Hartley and Hartley Insurance, and also Zogs on Fox Island.
They got their money's worth this week.
Yes, they did. Yes, they did. They sure did. You're the best. Thank you, sir.